Are you tired of that overwhelming to-do list and you want to change things? You want to be more focused. You want to figure out how to use those time management strategies that you have learned over time, but they don't work and you wonder why they don't work and you wonder what you can do to change that. I have a course for you inside my membership, the Training Library. The course is called The Emotions of Time Management. But you may be wondering, how is this any different than any other course and what's it going to do for me? I have been trying to tell you a little bit of that, but I found a new way to tell you what's inside the course and how it might help you. I have a podcast interview or conversation between two AI podcasters. You're going to actually be quite surprised. I dumped all of the training, the videos, the worksheets into this AI tool called Notebook LM, which is a Google AI product. And it produces a podcast to tell you about what I just dropped in. So tune in, listen to these two talk about the Emotions of Time Management course. And I hope you'll figure out if the course is for you. And by the end of the podcast, maybe you'll join me in the Training Library and you will do the work in the Emotions of Time Management course, and you'll find some differences for you in how you manage your day-to-day workload and how you feel about the workload that you carry. Let's listen to the AI podcast.
You know, if you're a nonprofit leader, and I bet a lot of you listening are, you've probably felt it. That feeling of just being totally overwhelmed, drowning in work, doubting yourself, feeling like you're carrying the weight of the whole organization on your shoulders.
It comes with the territory, right?
It really does, and that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We're going to be pulling out the best strategies and advice from a whole bunch of resources, stuff that you, our amazing listeners, shared with us, so you can, finally take back control of your leadership, your organization, and even your life.
That's the goal.
It is. We've got exercises for dissecting your to-do list, videos that really get into the emotional side of time management, and then some classic frameworks like GTD, getting things done, and of course the urgent important matrix. We're going to break it all down, make it super practical.
Actionable insights to help you tackle that feeling of overwhelm head on, right?
Exactly. We want you to walk away from this feeling like, okay, I can actually do this. I can lead with confidence.
I love that.
So let's just jump right in. I mean, the creator of this material, she just nails it in the intro video. She says, I know you have way too much to do. You will never get it all done. And most days you're running on overwhelm and empty.
Ugh, so true.
Right. For anyone listening, does that resonate with you?
Oh, yeah. That constant feeling of being behind, of never quite catching up.
And I think it's so important to acknowledge that reality right from the start, that feeling of overwhelm. It's not a personal failing. It's the shared experience of nonprofit leaders everywhere.
Exactly. We're all in this together.
And once you accept that, that's when you can start finding real solutions.
Absolutely.
And speaking of solutions, the course talks about these 3 core resources that we're all constantly juggling: time, focus, and energy.
Yeah, the big 3.
But here's the thing, and it's something we have to keep reminding ourselves. We can't actually create more time, right?
Nope, 24 hours is all we get.
But we can manage our focus and our energy levels. That's where our power lies.
That's a really important distinction.
It is. No matter how much we wish for a 36-hour day, our real leverage is in how we direct our attention and, how we recharge our batteries.
I love the battery analogy.
Me too. And there's actually a whole video on that. Low battery, the emotions of time management. The message is so simple, but it's easy to forget. You can't be productive when you're running on empty.
So true.
Think about it. How many times have you pushed through meetings and to-do lists when you're already exhausted?
More times than I can count.
Yeah.
And it never ends well.
No, it doesn't. You end up making mistakes, feeling resentful.
And even more drained.
Exactly. It's this vicious cycle.
So how do we break that cycle?
Well, the first step is recognizing that self-care isn't a luxury. It's a prerequisite for effective leadership, for sustainable productivity.
Your sanity.
For everything. It's making sure your phone is charged before you leave the house. You wouldn't leave with a dead battery, right?
Definitely not.
Same thing with your own energy. You have to prioritize recharging. Okay, so let's say you're looking at this mountain of responsibilities. You're feeling overwhelmed. Where do you even begin?
Well, the course has this great exercise called What's on Your To-Do List.
Okay, so pretty straightforward. It starts by asking you to, just list everything you need to do in the next week. But then it gets interesting because it introduces these symbols. Yeah,
Symbols.
little symbols to mark up your list. And they're designed to help you understand, like, the why behind those tasks.
Well, that's cool.
It is. So, for example, there's a star.
Okay, a star.
That's for those tasks you keep putting off.
Oh, I know those well.
Right. And often it's because we feel uncertain about them, or maybe we're afraid of not doing them perfectly.
Perfectionism strikes again.
It does. Then there's a yellow circle for things you really wish someone else would handle.
Delegation.
Exactly. It highlights those potential areas where you could be handing things off.
Love it.
Then there's an X. An X marks the tasks you just don't know how to do. And that's valuable because it tells you, okay, I need to learn something new here, or I need to ask for support.
Right, get some help.
And lastly, there's a check mark.
What's the check mark for?
That's for the tasks you enjoy, the things that energize you, but you just never seem to have time for.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
It reminds you of what you actually want to be doing.
exactly. So as you're looking at your own to-do list, think about what those symbols might reveal. What are the patterns, the underlying dynamic?
It's almost like therapy for your to-do list.
It kind of is. And this whole exercise, it connects directly to two other things. The brain dump in the same PDF and the initial to-do list creation and exercise, #1 the emotions of time management video.
Got it.
The main idea here is to get everything out of your head.
Oh, yes, the brain dump. I'm a big fan of those.
Me too. It's such a crucial first step because once everything is written down, you have that external overview. You're not trying to juggle it all mentally anymore.
Which frees up mental space for, actually doing the work.
Exactly. And that leads us to the next big thing, GTD, getting things done. Specifically, the processing your task flowchart. It's a systematic way to deal with each item on your list.
Okay, let's break down that flowchart. What are the key questions?
Well, the first one is it actionable? So basically, is it something you can actually do right now?
Right.
Because sometimes it's just an idea or some information you need to file away.
So what do you do with those non-actionable things?
Well, the flowchart gives you 3 options. You can ditch it if it's no longer relevant, file it away as reference material, or park it in a someday list.
Okay, so I'm getting rid of clutter right off the bat.
Exactly. That alone can make you feel way less overwhelmed. I mean, how many things on your list right now are really just reference or someday items?
Probably a lot more than I realize.
Yeah.
But what about the things that are actionable? What does GTD say to do with those?
Well, there's another brilliant question. Can you do it in 2 minutes?
Oh, the 2-minute rule. Classic.
Yeah. If the answer is yes, just do it. Get it off your plate. But if it's going to take longer than 2 minutes, you've got 3 options. Defer it, delegate it, or can't do it yet.
Okay, let's unpack those, starting with defer it.
So if it needs to happen at a specific time, you put it on your calendar. Simple, right?
Yeah.
But the flowchart also mentions a hot list and set a date. What are those about?
So the hot list is for those quick tasks you can knock out all at once. Like if you've got a bunch of emails to respond to or phone calls to make, you group them together and do them in a batch.
Makes sense. And set a date.
That's for tasks that don't have a hard deadline, but you need to get them done. Instead of letting them float around in your head, you pick a specific date in the future and commit to doing it then.
Oh, that's smart. It turns a vague intention into a concrete plan.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about delegation. That can be a tough one for nonprofit leaders.
It can. There's this feeling that you have to do everything yourself.
Right. Especially when resources are tight or you just feel so personally responsible.
But the flowchart emphasizes the importance of letting go,
It does. It simply says waiting after delegation.
which means you've trusted someone else with the task and you're now just, waiting for them to complete it.
Exactly. And learning to delegate effectively is so key to freeing up your time for the bigger picture stuff.
For the strategic thinking and planning that only you can do.
Exactly. Okay, what about that last category? Can't do it yet.
That's for tasks that need something to happen first. Maybe you need more information, or you're waiting for someone else to finish something.
So you're basically putting them on hold.
Exactly. Onto a maybe later list that you revisit once you've got what you need to move forward.
Makes sense. Now, there's another really valuable point about GTD that comes up in the video, GTD, the emotions of time management.
Yeah.
It's about breaking down those huge, scary projects into smaller, more manageable tasks.
Oh yeah, chunking. That's essential.
It is. So instead of having write grant proposal on your list, which can feel totally overwhelming, you break it down into specific actions, like outline introduction, research statistics, draft budget section, stuff like that.
It's like taking a giant pizza and slicing it up into bite-sized pieces.
Perfect analogy. It makes it much easier to digest. And when those smaller tasks are actionable, it's so much easier to get started and build momentum.
Absolutely. But then, once you've got your list of actionable tasks, you've got another challenge. You've got to decide what to focus on first.
Prioritization. And that's where the urgent important matrix comes in, right? Or the Eisenhower matrix, as some people call it.
Yep, those 4 famous quadrants.
We've got some great resources on that. Urgent important matrix time management and 3 worksheet urgent.important matrix. Let's break it down for our listeners. Quadrant 1.
Quadrant 1 is important and urgent. These are the top priorities, the things that absolutely have to be dealt with right now. Crises, deadlines, urgent problems. The message here is clear. Do it first.
Makes sense. These are the fires you've got to put out immediately.
Exactly.
But then there's quadrant 2. Important, but not urgent. And this is where things get really interesting.
Why is that?
Because the advice is to decide when to do it, schedule it, and this quadrant, honestly, it's the one that most of us neglect.
Oh, yeah. We get so caught up in the urgent stuff that we forget about the important stuff.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Those important but not urgent activities, they're the ones that really drive long-term impact.
Like what?
Well, think about things like strategic planning, developing your staff, building relationships with donors.
Right. The stuff that makes a real difference in the long run.
Exactly. But because it's not urgent, it doesn't scream for our attention, and it often gets pushed aside.
And then we end up in this constant cycle of reacting to crises instead of preventing them.
Exactly. So for you, listening, making time for quadrant 2 activities is not just important, it's essential.
Okay, what about quadrant 3?
That's not important, but urgent. These are the tasks that feel like they need your attention right away, but they're not actually contributing to your big goals.
Like those last-minute requests from colleagues that could totally wait.
Yes. The recommendation here is to delegate. And I know, it can feel like more work up front, but it frees you up to focus on what really matters.
Delegation is key. Okay, last one. Quadrant 4. What's hiding out there?
Quadrant 4 is the land of not important and not urgent, the time wasters, the things that are just not worth your energy. The advice here is simple. Ditch it.
Just say no.
Exactly. Be ruthless. Now, the 3 instructions urgent.important matrix document, it has some great questions to help you figure out where your tasks belong.
Like what?
Things like, what tasks demanded my attention but didn't really contribute to my goals? Or what important activities did I neglect because of urgent but unimportant demands? It really makes you think.
I like that. So we've got GTD for processing tasks and the Eisenhower matrix for prioritizing them.
And they actually work really well together. The GTD steps, do it, decide, delegate, ditch, they align perfectly with those 4 quadrants.
Oh, that's cool. It's like a system within a system.
It is. But, and this is a big but, the course makes a really important point. For a lot of us, it's not the systems that trip us up, it's our emotions.
Oh, that's so true.
The intro video, The Emotions of Time Management, it basically says that our feelings often get in the way of using these systems effectively.
Like, we know what we should be doing, but we just can't seem to do it.
Exactly. So it's not just about knowing how to manage time, it's about understanding why we struggle with it.
So why do we struggle with it? What's going on there?
Well, the videos, 11 values the emotions of time management, 12 connecting the dots, emotions of time management, and 14, the values, emotions, connection, the emotions of time management. They all talk about the connection between our thoughts, our beliefs, our values, and our behaviors.
Okay, so our values influence how we manage time.
They really do. They're like these underlying drivers that we're often not even aware of.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. So let's say you have a strong value of competence.
Okay, competence, like being good at what you do.
Exactly. But that same value can lead to procrastination.
Wait, how does that work?
Because if you're afraid of not doing something perfectly, you might just avoid doing it altogether.
Oh, right. You're so focused on being competent that you end up not doing anything.
Exactly. Or take the value of control. If you have a strong need for control, delegating can feel really, really difficult.
Because you're afraid of things not being done your way.
Exactly. And then there's perfectionism, which can also make delegation a nightmare.
Because you're worried that the other person won't do it as well as you would.
Exactly. And for nonprofit leaders who are often super compassionate and driven by a desire to help, the value of compassion can actually lead to overwork and burnout.
How so?
Because you end up saying yes to every request, even when you're already overloaded. You're so focused on helping others that you neglect your own needs.
Oh, that's such a common trap for nonprofit leaders. So how do we deal with these emotional hurdles? How do we understand our values better?
Well, there's a great exercise called 5 Values Identification Exercise. There's also a video that walks you through it. 13 values exercise the emotions of time management.
What does it involve?
It starts by having you reflect on a bunch of words and circling the ones that really resonate with you.
Okay, so like identifying the words that represent your core values.
Exactly. Then you group those words into categories. And finally, you narrow it down to your top values, the ones that are most important to you.
That sounds like a really powerful exercise.
It is. And there's another resource, Values and Emotions, that goes even deeper. It helps you understand how your feelings are connected to your thoughts and beliefs, which are rooted in your values.
So if you're feeling stressed, for example, you could trace that back to a thought like, I have to do everything perfectly, which is connected to a value of competence.
Exactly. And the document even provides specific examples linking feelings like accomplished, responsible, or burned out to underlying values.
It's all about building self-awareness.
It is. And the more you understand those connections, the better equipped you are to manage your emotions and make choices that align with your values.
So we've talked about systems and emotions.
Yeah.
But what about practical strategies for making it all work?
Well, the video 10, How to Make Them Work, offers some really great advice tailored specifically for nonprofit leaders. The first point is to be realistic
Realistic about what?
about what you can actually achieve. Don't try to change everything overnight. Start with small, manageable changes, baby steps.
That makes sense. It's about building sustainable habits, not overwhelming yourself.
Exactly. And the next point is to understand your own preferences. What works for someone else might not work for you.
Right, like some people are morning people, some people are night owls, some people love digital tools, others prefer pen and paper.
Exactly. It's about figuring out what works best for you and creating a system that fits your needs.
I love that. Personalization is key.
It is. The video also talks about leveraging technology, which can be a huge help.
Oh, yeah. There are so many great apps and tools out there these days.
Right. Things like timers for focused work or setting your phone to do not disturb to minimize interruptions.
Or even using AI tools to help with writing or research.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about finding ways to make technology work for you, not against you. And then there's this great concept, the infinite leadership loop.
You get to do what?
The infinite leadership loop. It's about pausing, pondering, pivoting, and then proceeding back into people. So it's a constant cycle of self-reflection, making adjustments, and then engaging with your team and your work.
Oh, I like that. It's about constantly evaluating and evolving.
Exactly. And of course, the foundation of all of this is self-care. It can't be an afterthought.
You got to put on your own oxygen mask first.
Exactly. Now, beyond those general principles, the course also offers some specific techniques that can be super helpful, like the Pomodoro technique.
Ah, the Pomodoro technique. Tell me about that one.
So it's all about working in focused 25-minute intervals followed by short breaks. It's a great way to break down big tasks and prevent burnout.
So you're basically tricking your brain into thinking, okay, I can handle 25 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it feel way less daunting. And the key is to really eliminate distractions during those 25 minutes. Like put your phone away, close your email, and just focus on the task at hand.
Laser focus. I like it. What else?
There's also this concept of choice points, which is all about becoming more aware of those moments throughout the day where you have a decision to make.
Choice points. So it's about being more intentional with how we spend our time.
Exactly. Instead of reacting on autopilot, you pause and you think, okay, how do I want to feel right now? What do I want to achieve? And then you make a conscious choice based on those intentions.
That's a really powerful shift in perspective. Instead of being driven by external demands, you're taking back control.
Exactly. The course also addresses procrastination, which we all struggle with.
Oh yeah, procrastination is the worst.
Yeah.
Or the best, depending on how you look at it.
Haha, true. But the video, 19 Procrastination, the Emotions of Time Management, it makes a really interesting point. Procrastination is often linked to underlying fears and anxieties.
Like we're not procrastinating because we're lazy. We're procrastinating because we're afraid of something.
Exactly. And the advice is to name the emotion to tame it. So if you can identify that fear or anxiety, you can start to work through it.
That makes sense. And sometimes what we call procrastination is actually just prioritization in disguise.
Right. Like we're putting something off because it's not actually that important to us.
So it's all about understanding ourselves better, both our systems and our emotions.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the infinite leadership loop. It's a reminder that this is an ongoing process. You're constantly pausing, pondering, pivoting, and then engaging with your team and your work.
It's a continuous cycle of growth and learning.
It is. And one of the key things you need to do in that cycle is to shift your perspective.
Perspective shift. Tell me more about that.
It's about challenging your current viewpoint on tasks or problems to see if you can find new solutions or reframe their importance.
So like instead of seeing something as a chore, you try to see it as an opportunity.
Exactly. There's a great exercise for this in 17 Perspective Shift, exercise the emotions of time management. It helps you really think outside the box.
I love that. It's about reframing those negative thoughts and finding the positive.
It is. And finally, the course talks about this idea of shifting your identity.
Shifting your identity, what does that mean?
It's about starting to see yourself as someone who is good at time management, who can set boundaries, who is capable of prioritizing effectively.
So it's about changing your self-perception.
Exactly. And the more you embrace that identity, the more likely you are to act in ways that support it.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is. And there's a worksheet that helps you with this, connecting your tasks to your thoughts, your emotions, and your values. It's a really powerful tool for building that new identity.
So to sum it all up, if you're a nonprofit leader feeling overwhelmed, you have a lot of options.
You really do. You've got systems like GTD and the Eisenhower matrix, techniques like the Pomodoro technique and choice points, and a whole lot of insights into the emotional side of time management.
It's a toolkit for taking back control.
Exactly. But the key is to actually use these tools. Don't just passively listen to this deep dive. Take some time to work through the worksheets, reflect on your values, and experiment with the different techniques. Find what works for you.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There's always room for growth and improvement.
Absolutely. And as a final thought, I want you to think about those core values you identified earlier. Which one of those values is most at odds with how you're currently feeling? And what's one small action you can take right now to start aligning your actions with that value and feeling more in control?
That's a great question to ponder. And if you're hungry for more, there are even more resources out there to help you continue this exploration. This deep dive is just the beginning.
It is. And remember, you've got this. You're capable of leading with confidence and creating a life that feels both productive and fulfilling.
Pretty cool to listen to that conversation. I think you now have a better understanding of what the course can do for you. If you're interested in joining the training library, go to kathyarcher.com/library and join today. If you are a member of the training library, I'll pop the link in below for you to just click on the course, The Emotions of Time Management, and you can start right now. Take the time to grow yourself. If you stop growing, you get bitter. And that's when you get cranky and irritated and you get stagnant and you slip into survival mode. Keep growing, keep developing yourself. And that's how you're going to learn to thrive in both your leadership and life. Go make the rest of your day awesome.